The thing about creating a life you love to live is you actually have to take the time to enjoy living it. So I'm leaving the US for a vacation to the Scandinavian city of Copenhagen, Denmark, with a little time spent in Sweden too. And I'm taking you with me. I'll show you everything about my week in Denmark, where to eat, what to see, what to do. So here's what it's like in Copenhagen. Hello friends, we are here in Copenhagen and I am so excited. It is my first time in Copenhagen and I am so ready to explore the city. We actually arrived a day late because of some flight delays that required us to spend the night in a hotel and not take our flight to Europe until the next day. So we're gonna make this time count. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're going to see a lot of things. It's kind of cold, a little drizzly while we're here. So just keep that in mind, but we're gonna have a lot of fun exploring and I'm so excited. One thing about Copenhagen in March is that it's cold. Like really cold, and it's often really rainy. So what better way to settle in on our first night in the city than with a piping hot bowl of ramen. This bowl was really comforting. Unless you're in love with super salty flavors, I'd suggest avoiding the eggs here. Everything else was on point though, and the spiciness was so nice after a cold walk here. This meal gave us just the right amount of warmth and energy to go check out the Round Tower. The Round Tower is the oldest functioning observatory in Europe, and you climb this winding incline and eventually some stairs to get to the top. This is perfect for astronomy nerds and if you just want a nice view of the city, especially at night. It was a little hazy when we went, but still very beautiful. We are exploring this piece of history and this piece of architecture. It's kind of cold, but it's also like really cool. It's really echoey, really just historic feeling. I feel like I'm stepping back in time in a way. So there's a big portion of this tower experience that you're just climbing this slope until you hit a set of stairs. We just now reached the stairs, so we're climbing even more. I'm already out of breath. Today we're doing a canal tour from Copenhagen's famous Nyhavn district. I think it's pronounced Nyhavn in Danish. It's known for its beautifully colored buildings. I mean, look at those buildings back there. A tour like this is also a really great opportunity to get off of our feet, so I highly recommend if you're in the city, and especially in the winter because this boat is heated. I learned some cool things while on this tour, like that Hans Christian Andersen, the famous Danish author who wrote fairy tales like The Little Mermaid and Thumbelina, used to live along this very waterfront district. It was so nice to sit back, relax, and learn about different districts of Copenhagen while admiring its beauty and architecture. We hadn't eaten yet, so we checked out Buka, a popular bakery a short walk away. I'm convinced that everything in here must be absolutely delicious because it looked incredible and I seriously had the best pastry of my life. A lemon bun that was just the right amount of sweet, such good lemon flavor, and so soft. A visit to Copenhagen has to include time spent in Stroget, which I know I'm pronouncing incorrectly. It's the huge shopping district featuring high-end, lower-end, and everything in between stores. You can seriously get lost for hours here, and that's exactly what we did on a couple of days, actually. stop by Superdry, which is I think a luxury brand for outerwear, some fitness things. I got this sweat set that I think is really cute. Stop by Zara, stop by Rituals. There's just so many cool stores in this area that we're in. More shopping will be done. One thing I was excited about for this trip was checking out the Lego stores. Legos were actually invented in Denmark, so I had to stop by here. We didn't get anything, but I certainly got some ideas of cool ones to try. One area of this shopping district that I love is a Loom. This is the mall for all kinds of luxury indoor shopping. At this point, I was so excited to have a break from the cold. We didn't do much actual shopping in here, but we admired the design of this place. The buildings in Denmark are just so pretty. The front desk person at our hotel suggested this tapas place for dinner called Pate Pate, and what a great suggestion. I've officially fallen in love with elderflower drinks here in Copenhagen, and we ordered the chef's experience, where they brought 9 small plates to us over 3 courses. Each plate was a surprise, and each course had really great flavors. I even had tuna carpaccio, and I never eat tuna, so to sit here and eat it raw was a big deal for me. Good morning! Last night's dinner experience was truly amazing. We went to a place called Pate Pate in the meatpacking district here in Copenhagen, also known as Vesterbro, if I'm saying that right and understanding that correctly. That's the area of the city that this restaurant is in. It was amazing. We told the waitress, surprise us. Just let us know what these plates are when they come out. We don't want to know what they are ahead of time. We had delicious pate, baked leek. Actually, I think it was grilled leek. We had beef short rib and polenta, mashed potatoes, a lemon tart with like a charred marshmallow on there. It kind of had that s'mores taste with the marshmallow, macarons. It was just a beautiful, beautiful dinner, and nearly every plate that we had was truly outstanding and had just such great flavor. So I'm really glad we tried that out. That was a recommendation from our front desk person when we checked in. And if we can find him before we leave, we got to tell him, like, that was really delicious. And since yesterday was our first official full day in Copenhagen, where we woke up in the city and spent the whole day in the city without trying to, of course, like, get our luggage to the hotel and dealing with all the travel stuff, I feel like I got more of a sense of the culture yesterday. Obviously, there's only so much I can learn being here a short time, but I'm seeing more evidence of the bikeable culture here and how everyone's on their bikes. The bike lanes are designed really well. It's very bike friendly. The cars, I feel like, are even more respectful to pedestrians here than I feel like back home, how drivers treat pedestrians. When we were walking yesterday, our hotel is near the river, and people swim in the river. Even though it's pretty cold here right now, people still swim in the river. And there was just, naked person just getting out of the river. And I think that's very common here too, for people to just enjoy the water and be in their nakedness. Another thing I've noticed is that people seem a little quieter here when they have conversations on the phone. I see a lot of people walking with their AirPods in, just like, people do all the time on the phone, and they're not super loud. And I just feel like sometimes in the States, when you're encountering people who are on the phone, they are incredibly loud. What they're saying. You probably know exactly who they're talking to by the context clues that you're picking up on. I find that to be a little different here so far. People are kind of speaking in lower tones when they're having their conversations, even their conversations to each other. Like hearing people talk at dinner, it's not very loud and noisy because of voices here. So that's been interesting. I have no idea if that's part of the overall culture or just something that I've noticed in the people that I've walked past and have sat next to at meals in different places over the last day. But anyway, it is time to get started for today and begin today's adventure. We are actually going to Sweden, and I am so excited. Sweden is just a short train ride away. So we're planning to hit 2 Swedish towns today and come back to Copenhagen for dinner tonight. So I think first up is Lund, and then we'll go to Malmo and just explore there a little bit, have some food, take some pictures, and come back to Copenhagen for the night.
Inbound Sweden, calling it among others, or Statovic, or can easily place on the Själva value. We will soon come by to look at your tickets and...
I come from a city in the US that doesn't go all out with public transportation, so I was in love with the fact that a train ride could take us into Lund, Sweden in just under an hour. It was so relaxing to just take in these views and see landscapes other than the city. I knew exactly where we were headed to when getting off this train, and that was Broda Jacobs, a cute bakery and restaurant that serves up cardamom buns. And other pastries too, but I'm here for the cardamom bun, okay? Having one of these was on my list of must-haves, and I finally got to experience one. The flavor was fantastic, the cardamom spice was so divine, and it paired well with the cappuccino I had. And I don't even drink coffee, but I figured I'm in Europe, so why not? After that, we explored nearby shops like this chocolatier. We also made our way into a co-op because we're so interested in what grocery stores are like in other places, what kind of prices they have, and what kind of items they sell. There's no agenda really while we're here in Sweden. It's just to explore and follow the vibes. Basically, that's what today is all about. So basically a lot of shopping, a lot of admiring the beauty, and a lot of quality time. After a while, we got back on the train to head to Malmo, about 20 minutes away. I will say Malmo wasn't as energetic as our visit to Lund, but it was nice to stroll along the quiet streets in search of some lunch. We stopped into Spoonery, where I had a creamy fish soup that was so good, and Seth had Swedish meatballs, a meal perfect for this visit. We strolled along more streets until time to head back to Copenhagen. After starting the day with a delicious pancake breakfast, we made our way to Hillerød, a town north of Copenhagen that's home to Fredericksburg Castle. To get here, you've got to take a train and then a bus, but all public transportation is included with a Copenhagen card, which is basically a city pass that gets you around the capital region and into attractions like this castle. This was my first time in Europe and therefore my first time at any kind of European castle. I was blown away by the beauty of this place, the moat, how expansive the property is, everything. This was built as a home for King Christian IV in the 17th century and contains a lot of paintings and furniture from the period. We followed a guided audio tour to learn more about each room we visited, and y'all, this chapel was stunning. This room still appears as it did during the time of Christian IV, and they still hold church services here each Sunday. I mean, look at these seats, look at these carvings, look at this organ. Another room that I really liked here is the Great Hall. It has this beautifully carved ceiling and marble floors, and tapestries all over the wall. How beautiful. I'm looking at a personal letter from Hans Christian Andersen. How cool is this? We made our way back to Copenhagen for lunch at Tordhavn, an indoor-outdoor food market with tons of shops and cuisines to choose from. For a quick bite, I went with a Smore broad, which I know I'm not pronouncing right, and I don't think I'm supposed to eat with my hands, but I was starving. For dinner, we visited Beast Pizza and had this incredible house-made burrata and a radicchio pizza with probably the fluffiest pizza crust I've ever eaten. We got lucky on this day to get a table, but you might want to book a reservation before coming here because it was quite busy and we were turned away at first. I would definitely visit here again. It was so good. I've spent a good amount of time in Denmark so far, but today's my first time having an actual Danish pastry here. And I definitely needed the energy of this quick breakfast because today is about visiting the Church of Our Savior, a historic church where you climb 400 steps to get to the very top. I was really intimidated because I actually had a knee injury at this point of the trip, so I wouldn't recommend walking around with Chelsea boots here. Still, I wanted to see how many steps I could handle and how much of the church I could see. If you have any issues with mobility or any fear of heights, I would not recommend this. Considering my hurt knee, I was really glad there were areas to rest along the way.
We were able to make it to the outside steps. However, it's really narrow out there, and there are a lot of people you have to pass. And passing people in a narrow walkway or narrow staircase this high up was really getting to me. So I actually didn't make it all the way to the top. I'm still inside the church, catching my breath. I might consider trying to go back out there, but I don't know. It's kind of scary. And I'm not scared of heights. It's the narrowness and having to pass people in the narrowness that was making me feel kind of shaky. So I didn't feel good about that, so I came back down to a part where we're inside and I can catch my breath. But it's really beautiful out there. I didn't have my phone out at the highest point, or at least on the outside point to show you. But it is really beautiful. It's kind of not fully safe to have your phone out the whole way. There are signs that are recommending you put loose items away because it's so narrow. You can really easily lose something, drop something, trip, even hit your head. So just have to be careful out here.
At least the church had a few exhibits I could see, so I don't feel like this visit was a total waste. I didn't want to completely ruin my knee out there because I was headed to yet another royal location.
We're at Amalienborg Palace in Copenhagen, about to watch the changing of the guards. This is my first time seeing something like this at a palace, at a castle, seeing a changing of the guards. I'm really excited to be witnessing this today.
The changing of the guard is obviously a really organized ordeal. The police, or whoever this is, makes everyone step behind a certain area to make room. And before we knew it, a marching band made its way around the palace. We weren't done seeing royal things. We made our way through King's Garden to get to Rosenborg Castle, which houses loads of treasures, including the crown jewels. Entrance is included with a Copenhagen card, but you've got to reserve a time slot ahead of time online. This place was built as a summer house for Christian IV, so yeah, it looks a lot like the Fredericksburg Castle we visited in Hillerød. Time for another visit to Tordhavn. I wanted to try Smore bread again, which is like an open-faced sandwich with toppings, and I wanted a really nice one this time, so I went with a shrimp and egg one and a potato and onion one. I didn't think these would get me that full, but they really did, and they were really good. I wish I would have had more of this during this trip, and I'm still thinking about this particular meal. And since I saw blood orange flavored things a lot more here than I do in the States, I couldn't resist a blood orange gelato to end the day. It's that's our last full day in Copenhagen, and we're going to see the Little Mermaid statue. The Little Mermaid is actually a Danish story, and I'm a fan of the adaptation, so I had to see this. Another must-see on this day was Copenhagen's botanical gardens. It was so rainy and gray here this week that seeing this much green and color made everything that much better. And being around the tropical plants gave a much-needed break from the cold. I'm out of breath because I had to climb a staircase to get to the very top to see the high view of the very tall plants. They're all so beautiful. This place is so beautiful. I love being in places like this. And it's also a lot warmer in here than it is outside on this cloudy, cold day in Copenhagen. It's pretty humid in here because we're looking at tropical plants. To warm up, we ended the trip with hot tea and a lovely meal at Il Buco, which sources ingredients from sustainable farmers and serves house-made pasta. It has been a wonderful, beautiful time in Copenhagen, but it's time to go home. It's time to go back to the United States. I have had such a great time and I can't wait to come back. There's so much to do in this city and in this area of the world. So I'm making a list of things to experience next time because you just can't fit them all in one trip. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed exploring Copenhagen with me, and I'll see you next time.